truly meets that thing called life. And we are on site, on location at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Of course, the home of the Cuse MacMother, my sandwich, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. And you can get it 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. only at Mother's Cupboard. I am here with Coach Stewart Flaherty, the new men's soccer head coach for Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, and in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, the Bobcat Buzz coming to you right here on WakeUpCall. So, Coach, how are you? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Dan.
So you just had the Cuse MacMother.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Big fan. Big fan. Combination of traditional breakfast, a little bit of sweet with the French toast. Good combination.
Yeah. No trouble eating it this morning.
No.
We both had it here too. So you spent some time with the team. You've been here for a little while, a couple months.
Yeah.
What can you say about what you're doing here? Because there is no off season, right? There's constant training, constant film work. What's life been like at Bryant Stratton so far?
Some days chaotic, some days very rewarding. It's not a new team. It's a team that's had a lot of success, but it feels new in a lot of ways. We've put together a new schedule for the off-season practice. We've doing it in a new facility. I know some of the video sessions we're doing, some of the site work we're doing, it's new, so it's a learning process. The way we're playing is definitely very different, and that's showing. As long as we've been going, we had 5 or 6 weeks of weights training and speed training and strength training. So we're actually had only had 4 sessions, which is a cumulative 6 hours of ball work. And we had our first game last weekend, and it was a disappointing game, to be honest with you. But I think that's what come through. It was 6 hours of work on field, and there was a lot of disjointed phases of play. There was no real defensive cohesion. We feel far away, in my eyes, from where we need to be, but I do think we'll get there. The aim is, rather than stressing out about what will and won't be in the fall, we're trying to put a better performance next Saturday when we drive to Cayuga and play another UPSL men's team. So I think we're good opponents because they're not in the peak physical condition when they're out of college, but you are talking about 25 to 30-year-old men who've played hundreds of games at the college level and above, and I think that's a good level of opposition to be played.
And the UPSL, just why it's important for you to have these matches right now, because these guys might be used to an off season, no weight training, no film work, no games, no matches, no anything. I mean, you've definitely changed what it means to be a Bryant Stratton Syracuse men's soccer player.
Yeah. I mean, well, the beauty of the games is they reveal the truth. And I think there's a little bit of a dynamic here where we don't realize we have dreams to play pro, and we have dreams to do big things in the fall, which is very nice. But you have to constantly be able to measure and evaluate where you are today and where you need to go. And I don't know if we've got the balance yet right. Maybe we all, me included, before the last game, think we're a bit further along the road than we actually are. So you need these games as a mirror of reality. It's no good to be not playing a game between now and September just so we can pat ourselves on the back over training sessions and have a false sense of confidence. So, I'm happy with it. I'm happy it was difficult. It's going to be difficult again, but we're trying for a better performance and a better result for sure.
These UPSL teams for you, what brought about the ones that you chose, and just the structure of when you wanted to, how many games you wanted to have, when you wanted to have them, who you wanted to play?
It was connection. I'm brand new to the region, right? So Amlin, they actually have a player in the back line who played for Bryant Stratton. I think it was back in 2019. 2020 he played, so he was a good connection. They had a couple of our alumni on the other team, which was cool. Yeah. And again, this is, you've had a college career and now you're 4 years out, so there was a certain level of tactical cohesion that they had that I don't think it was world class by any means, but it was better than us on that given day. And then Chris Davison, who was connected with our AD Brook, he's been very welcoming, and he's involved with Nick FC, the UPSL team down near Cayuga. So that was that fixture. But again, you're going to have college guys, you're going to have adults. It's a good level of game.
And to have this, like you said, you got to see things from this first thing, and there's nothing that's going to truly imitate a match until you have a match.
Exactly.
So from that match and all of your takeaways going into this match, where's been your areas of focus in training and film study to get ready for the upcoming one?
Defensive shape, not playing as individuals, not unawareness the group of 11 yet, but at least the awareness to defend in packs of 2 and 3.
Okay.
The off-ball movement was not good enough. It was a combination of low effort and low intelligence, quite frankly, our off-the-ball movements. And then there was a little bit of ego that I didn't like, where we're not doing the work off the ball to create options. And then we've got something to say to the guy who gave the ball away, which I told the guys, I really don't respect that. If you're not doing the work to give people multiple options in every direction, then don't start talking when the ball's being turned over. And just also in terms of habits and disciplines, I think some guys met the reality in the game. If you're not showing up on time and you're not showing every day and you're not the high energy level training you need, you're going to find that people don't respect what you say on game day. That's something that comes out on game day. Because on game day, everyone's motivated, and everybody wants to talk, and everyone wants to have an input. But who you are in the eyes of your teammates gets set in the days and weeks before the game, and I think that's another area where we learn a few things on Saturday.
Well, I mean, you said it, that everybody gets up for game day, but it's who's talking in practice, who's breaking down the film, who's watching film outside of film study,
Correct.
Who's having those conversations in practice, who's telling guys in practice, hey, make sure that you're over here, you're not in the right spot, you need to help, or my bad, I should have passed it here and I didn't do that. Like, there has to be the conversation, there has to be the connection, there has to be this mentality, this knowledge, this wisdom, there has to be a constant working machine. It can't just be a machine that works on match day. So who are some of those guys?
And just quickly to add on, it has to be proactive.
Yeah.
The first sign of a bad team is everyone's got something to say after a turnover, after an error, after a miss. You're trying to build the game. Like, if someone's on the ball, we should have 2, 3, 4 people talking to them about where to go while he's on the ball. After it is what it is. If we give the ball away, we better be defending. While we're defending, we should be telling people about the areas behind them, up our shoulders, and telling them what they can't see from behind, rather than just stressing out after someone's got the ball saying you should have marked him. So we're very a step behind in many areas with how we communicate with each other.
You're avenging as opposed to the proactive.
Yeah. Did you just go Marvel on me?
I did.
Right.
On purpose. Fully on purpose. So
we are not the Avengers yet. We're trying.
who are some of those, speaking of the Avengers, who are some of the leaders that are starting to show themselves in film study and practice in workout session?
I'm not being negative. I don't think there's any leaders yet. I don't think there can be any leaders yet after one game. I think leadership is an overused and misunderstood word, because you're not a leader until I could get a brand new player in here and I could say, like, let's say you, for example, if I could say to myself, to a new player, hey, just follow Dan around.
Yeah.
And if you follow Dan around and watch how he talks to other people, and watch how he eats, and watch how he trains, and watch how he plays, and I don't have to tell you, you'll become a better player. That is what, in my eyes, what a leader is. I don't know if we're there yet. We're all just a bunch of, I'm getting to know them, trying to teach a system, they're trying to learn it. We're all just trying to, like, get near the best version of ourselves right now, and then when we've done that, we'll talk about who the leaders are. But yeah, honestly, nobody right now.
You've changed the dynamic of what this team is. You've changed what we didn't see really anything in the off season, and you've made it a point. You've had guests come in, you've created these matches, you've created opportunities, you created an opportunity for Johnny professionally to go work out and get to see what he could be out there with professionals. There's a lot of things that you have done from the outside looking in that could make somebody say, oh, like, now there's content, now I see what you're doing. But from the inside out, what are you seeing of guys that, have you seen as leadership develops, have you seen some guys make positive moves in certain ways? Like, are there little nuances and things that you're taking away saying, from what we've done so far, I've seen this guy ask more of himself, I've seen this person be more vocal, I've seen this person be more active when it comes to the weight room or more active in film study? Are you seeing tiny victories, so to speak, I guess I would say?
not seen what I want to see yet.
Okay.
In terms of pleasant surprises, there's a guy, Jafiq Charles, who effectively took a year off. He wasn't on the team last year, and he's come into the group, and he's very much up to speed with the rest of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys who are better players than the other guys, but I think they can work against you without the right perspective. So even those guys at the top of the roster, am I seeing them right now be so good that they're lifting the entire group and improve the people around them? Not yet. So there's guys who are playing well, but we're nowhere near where I want us to be. And we're nowhere near where we will be. Like, they're intelligent guys. They're very respectful. They're all listening. I think we'll get there, but I'd be lying just for a minute if I told you we were there today.
And when you're doing these different things, the way that you're doing it, why is it so important for you to chronicle this, to utilize social media, to put things out there, and to show that this team is active, it's alive, there's a heartbeat to it?
I mean, there's multiple reasons for that. There's a sense of identity and pride within the group, which doesn't just happen just because you want it to happen. And the boys like to see, the pictures of practice. They like to share it. They get excited about it. They like to see each other in the pictures and the videos. And then there's a recruiting aspect of it. Like we are, I think behind the scenes, every recruit who visits, we're going to be more than they're expecting. I think we're like kind of at that point in our journey right now. So the social media is designed to put that out in the public. I know we made quite a footprint in England when we had a 90-goal EPL striker running sessions and people wondering what was going on, and nobody would know that without the social media. So I just think it's part of life nowadays. People talk down on it. There's a lot of old coaches who hate it, but if social media and Instagram and TikTok gets kids excited, then we want this to be an environment they're excited in, and I want that to be a part of it. Like somebody like you being around the program, and to me it lifts the footprint of the program. It adds a sort of professionalism to the program, and there might be a day we look back on this with pride, and like, oh, look where we are and look where we were then, which is why it's important to tell the truth to ourselves. I don't think we're so sensitive and weak that we need to tell ourselves we're doing better than we are today just to build our confidence. I'd rather just acknowledge where we are, and then when we've got better, discuss it.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, right? Transparency. And I tell people all the time, I don't surround myself with yes people. I surround myself with people that constructively, not destructively, but constructively will talk with me and help me to become better.
Yeah.
I only want to be surrounded by people that can make me smarter, better, faster, kinder, healthier. You want to be around that. You brought up recruiting and you brought up the tool of utilizing social media. How are you balancing the team that you have with the team that you're recruiting?
I think you have to maximize what you already have. I don't know the words you write, but there's something in the Bible too right about it. If you want more, then you need to be a good steward of what you already have. So if you want better players, you have to create the optimal environment while they're here. And this has to be the best possible team for them to come and play on. What I've been a part of before, and I didn't like it at the time, but I'm glad I saw it now, is I've been on staffs where there is this personality for recruiting and this excitement and enthusiasm for recruiting, and this, I believe, undervaluing of what you already have.
Yeah.
And they're like, the kids figure that out pretty quick. If the guys in front of you are less than, and the new exciting shiny new toy is more coveted, they figure that out pretty quick. So I just think we're every day trying to make the current group better. Every player in the program, we're trying to make him better. For some of them that might end in the pro game, for some of them that might end being a starter, for some of them it might not. But we're just trying to have everyone move to be a better version of themselves. And when that's a sort of dynamic and atmosphere already running, then it's much easier to bring outside people in. We talked about the NFL draft earlier, and we always hear that this one college kid is going to come in and change everything, and it never works. Last year it was the Bears, right? The Bears are going to be unbelievable. They got Caleb Williams. It never works. You want to be adding new recruits to an already healthy and productive environment. And yes, it has to be a little bit better than it is right now today, but it will be.
And for you, since you've come in, what has been kind of your self-reflective moment when you look in the mirror from your time of accepting the job to right now?
I should have built a team just in terms of the sessions, we should have went defending first.
Okay.
I went attacking first for two reasons. One, we had a guest who was a striker, and so I wouldn't change my mind for that reason because we had, I believe, world level coaching for a week on striking and attacking.
And to include that too, because I wanted to get to the guest you had. So if you want to share
that sends a certain message, right? It sends a certain prioritization and value of get on the ball and do all the exciting stuff and the crosses and the shots. And then when the game came around, I don't think we had any defensive identity. So probably introduce things the wrong way around. Certainly when we come in for full pre-season, we'll start defense first. So I think that was an error and mistake. I do think I would make the same mistake again, just because of the guy who came. You know, this is James Beattie, who he played for the England national team as a centre forward. He had scored 90 goals in the EPL against Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. So while he was here, we needed to utilise his advantage, and we don't need him putting the back forward. I'm not going to say his name yet, but we're going to have another guest next week who's probably very exciting too, so just working on finalising that. But that backfired in two ways. We weren't good enough when the game came around, which, you know, a spring game will get forgotten in history. It is what it is, even though it was painful the weekend. And I think maybe the priorities in our own head were not like what the actual fundamentals of winning were.
And you talked about defense and making sure that when you coming in the fall, your defense first. Do you know what scheme you want to utilize? Are you going to be mixing it up and using different things? Or
No, I've got some general vague ideas, but like these next 3 weeks, 3 games we're going to play, we'll do different things and we'll have different personalities, and then I'll have a much firmer opinion after the 4 games. But it's like we're kind of like wet clay right now, or wet concrete in terms of what we are and what we aren't.
What do you like about that? What do you like about the wet clay moment of putting your hands around it?
It's just the truth, right? It's just like I like being in periods like this where you can't hide. Like we want to be better next week. If we get hammered again, then we're no better next week. I've got things in my mind where I think they might work. There are some things I thought last week would work and they did, and some things I thought would work last week and they didn't. So just putting them out there in the sort of the actual laboratory of the game and finding out what the truth is. It's interesting. It's not new and exciting because I don't know, it's not how I feel today, if I'm honest with you, but it's interesting to watch and it's very, very valuable.
Your hunger, your drive, your passion, we were talking about that off the air, just like the passion to coach and the passion to be around it, just how you see things.
Yeah.
Where does that passion come from, and how do you keep essentially refilling your tank?
I don't think my tank needs filling. You know, we've all got like something that we're good at and we like it. And you just, I don't know, it's always been natural to me in my head that you would try and maximise that. And the struggles I've had in life have never been related to coaching or playing football. They haven't. They've been times of unemployment. They've been like personal issues. This hasn't been hard for me to get excited about. It's not hard for me to do day to day. So if it was, I would probably keep looking and searching until I find something I did. And in my personal experience in my 20s and from people I know in my life, for your daily passion and craft to not be what you're excited about, it makes for a tough life, in my opinion.
What is a day in the life on the pitch for you? How would you describe it?
I mean, today and tomorrow are different because we don't practice every single day. But a practice day would be try always get a minimum of an hour of recruiting in right now because we're trying to bring 10 players in. So there's a list of calls and emails to make and rosters to look at and videos to watch that you never leave the office and you're done. You just accept that you'll never be done. You try and get as far as you can in terms of the inroads into that. Then it usually be an hour to review the last practice and plan the next one. Doesn't usually take more than that. And then right now breaking down game video still where we'll try and cap it to 4 or 5 blocks of video, which will be 3 to 5 minutes long each. And we've got defensive shape, we've got movement off the ball, and trying to put them together and then go find pro clips from the drive I keep, where I can give visuals of what it's supposed to look like rather than just being running compilation and what wasn't good, you know what I mean.
So you want them to be able to see it side by side?
Yeah.
Syracuse, you've been in Syracuse, New York for a little while now. Thoughts?
You know, I've done so much traveling at weekends.
I know.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like home yet, but it's a very nice place. And I've lived in Maine, I've lived in New Hampshire, I've lived in Michigan. And I feel similar vibes. You know, like the weather is similar. The people are very welcoming. Like it's nothing new to me, but I wouldn't say it feels like home yet in my heart. You know what I mean?
I understand. So, rapid fire, we've done it before. You've been gracious to answer my questions, so I'm only going to put myself on the hot seat, and you get to ask me 3 questions.
Who's going to win March Madness?
Right now, if I had to put my feet to the fire, I'm going to say Duke. Because Duke and St. John's were the only two on my mind.
I saw Syracuse beat Duke live this season.
Oh, no, you didn't.
At Syracuse. Yeah.
You saw Syracuse beat Duke?
No, I saw Syracuse beat Duke live. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Duke won by like 40 points. Yeah, but
I'm very sad that was his first experience of the Dome.
Because I wasn't rooting hard at Syracuse or at the time. I was fine, but I was pretty one-sided.
Yeah. Ask Coach Stu what his favorite part of that was, and he would probably say a chicken sandwich or something like that.
No. Oh, I worked in Maine, and I remember a very young Cooper Flag coming up and being in all the media.
Yeah.
I remember he had a brother too. I don't know where his brother went, but
and he's family friends with a friend of mine who knew him from when he was little from Maine.
I don't think he was ever little.
Yeah.
I think he was born like 5'8" or something.
Probably.
Right.
He was born at the height that I capped out at. So,
who are the Dallas Cowboys going to draft?
they need to draft Ashton Genty. If they don't, then Jerry Jones needs to hang up his whistle that he shouldn't have.
He gets to draft about 10 people.
Yeah. They need an offensive line. They're eventually going to have to figure out what they're doing at quarterback. They need defensive help, but they absolutely, positively, without doubt, need to draft Ashton Genty, and I don't want to hear anything else from anybody else about anything. My mock draft will have Ashton Genty. He needs to be drafted. He needs to be there. I don't know why I'm seeing pick 8, but maybe that means the Cowboys have to trade up. So
we were much better than we actually were. I'm trying to keep this current events while steering away from the impending World War III that's in my news feed every day. Baseball World Series champion. Early call here.
I'm going to give you 2 thoughts on both sides. Dodgers, Mets in the National League, and in the American League, the Yankees are dealing with a ton of injuries. So in the American League, I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to say Guardians.
They were pretty good last year, right?
Yeah. I'm going to say Guardians, and I'm going to say Astros, even though people can't stand the Astros.
Yeah, but something about banging on trash cans, right?
You know what? So there's this thing at Epcot where these guys, so the guys that, the costume that you wear at Epcot down at Walt Disney World, when you are custodial, there's people that wear the same costume and they walk around with trash cans and people think they're just moving trash cans and all of a sudden they put them down and they start playing. And I said it's good to know that the Astros have a retirement program.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny.
So you can ask me one bonus.
One more.
Yeah. What would I do if I sat down with Zelensky and go? No.
Thoughts on the USA soccer team? That was a rough weekend.
I mean, when you sit here and you don't know that Panama has a team, the United States.
I did enjoy the goal celebration. Did you see that? With Thierry Henry?
I did not. They had, what was the celebration?
So Thierry Henry was behind the goal on a TV desk, and the guy who scored the goal ran up and told Henry he was his hero, and then every Panama player just mobbed Thierry Henry at the TV desk mid-game, which was hilarious.
Yeah, I would say, American soccer has to get better on the international stage, and there was moments where they were close. I'll never forget the extra time game against Ghana in the World Cup.
There was a few games against Ghana. That was like a rivalry.
There was one that literally sits with me to this day. I was in a Buffalo Wild Wings in Orlando, Florida, right outside of Disney, and there was 4 Ghanaians that asked if they could sit at my table. There was nowhere to sit, and I was by myself. They asked if they could sit at my table. So there's all these Americans around, and when Ghana would play well and something would happen not Syracuse, American fans around. So there's all these USA fans, and whenever something would happen that was good for Ghana, bad for America, they would look at me, and I'm like, I'm not with these people. I'm trying to cheer on America. But
was that the game Ghana won? Was the game Ghana 1-2-1? Asamoah Gyan?
Yeah, I think it was 1-0 at a certain point, and then it ended in extra time. It was the last time they played the World Cup against each other, I think.
Yeah.
But it was so.
I wish I could Google
real.
it. I feel like you played Ghana back-to-back World Cups, and maybe won one and lost one. I don't know.
I can tell you that was, and I have a friend from Ghana, Patrick. Love you, appreciate you, congratulations on the win. But yeah, no, it was such a heartbreaking thing. But it was like this was me. I'm watching the game, and then like they're cheering. None of the Americans are cheering, and they turn around, and I'm like this. I'm like, no, I'm not a part of this. Like I'm just.
I'll tell you one
don't
thing
spit my food.
I feel quite strongly about, because we keep hearing the golden generation. The 2002 USA soccer team at the World Cup, that's the best USA team I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's been like such a long time.
They beat Portugal with Louis Figo and an all-star
Portugal
lineup.
is...
They beat Mexico when Mexico was strong. They lost 1-0 to Germany, and Germany had the handball on the line that should have been a USA penalty, and they went to the final. That was like a very good USA team.
Yeah, it's been such a long time. You and I were talking about Coach Bradley before. Like, I felt like there was hopes there. There was moments and rays of sunshine there, but we haven't seen like a full sunrise. We've seen rays of sunshine, but we haven't seen a full sunrise yet. Is there anybody on the USA team that you think they can lean on?
I think if you're ever asking that question, you're in trouble. Because I think
that's why I'm asking.
As much as everyone talks about Messi, like you take Messi off Argentina, it's a very strong football team. It's a very strong team. I know there's this basketball culture in America, which I think leads people to believe
who's your superstar
a bit more than it is that one guy can carry teams.
Yeah.
I think if like Pulisic is the best player, is he good enough to carry you through a World Cup? No, I don't think so. I think the only example in soccer history that people would argue a guy carried a team to a World Cup was 1986, Diego Maradona. Other than that, I think it's universally acknowledged that the teams that win are very strong teams, and even then, this painting of his teammates as less than is a bit disingenuous.
Well, that's the thing, like with Italy. When Italy won in 2006, it was the collective. Exactly. And then after that, it was like, they had gotten older, and can they do it again? And then Spain had their days, and then Italy during COVID won a Euro. But it was like, after Italy won in 2006, it was heartbreaking because it was like, it took so much to get there, and they finally did it. But then you couldn't keep all of that together because of the fact that the guys had just been playing for a really long time, so it starts to break apart. And as it's breaking apart, they didn't have the right pieces coming in, and then you're having to like just spend all this time in the in-between.
I think the more recent Italy, so there was the 2006 World Cup Italy, when Caravano was a centre-back won the Golden Ball. But then there's the Euros Italy, who they won it because they had the two best centre-backs in the tournament, Bonucci and Chiellini. Bonucci even scored the goal in the final. But there's this media, like when Spain win and they have possession, people want to talk about it. When Argentina won and they had Messi, people want to talk about it. When Italy win because it's the best centre-backs, nobody wants to talk about that because it's not exciting. And it's not seen as like being knowledgeable to see that, so it's undermarketed. But no team's ever going to win the World Cup without an outstanding back four, a strong goalkeeper, and at least one midfielder who defends well in front of the back four. I don't care who's on your team. I don't think the World Cup will ever be won by a team who lacks that.
You just said something that you hear all the time. Defense wins championships.
Yeah. In an era where all the media want to talk and tell the kids about is attacking.
Right.
So the kids now live with this contradiction in their head because what the media values is 90% attack. But what actually wins is that's often less than the truth. This is why Inter Miami, who have Messi in the MLS, which is down a level, and they have Suarez and they have Alba and they have Busquets, they crashed out the playoffs in the third straight by a team who outworked them defensively. And it wasn't a fluke. It was a best of three series, which I actually think was put in to help the top seed, like make it best of three so they can't lose a one-off. They lost 2 out of 3. It's a very low-scoring sport, soccer, which I think increases the value of defense disproportionately. Because 1 or 2 goals is something you can't just absorb at the top level.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing is, in any sport, no matter how much you score, if you don't prevent, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's. I mean, people want to talk about offense all the time, and people want to talk about, when it comes to American football, they want to talk about the quarterback, and you want to talk about Messi, you want to talk about the stars and this and that. But I'm looking at the goalkeeper, I'm looking at the back four, I'm looking at, okay, if he's a really good goalkeeper, and you're seeing him in all the saves that he's made, my head is not telling me he's just a really good goalkeeper. My head is also saying to me, why did all these balls get to him? Why were the guys in front of him not providing more chances, or why were they not negating more chances? So if I'm seeing all these shots on goal and they're saying, well, he's doing a tremendous job, if I'm the coach going, yeah, he's doing a tremendous job as the last line of defense, but he doesn't have the help.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, when a center back doesn't get the glory, why not? Because, I mean, I go back to Spain, Portugal, when Spain won the World Cup in 2010, and that game was 1-0, and you got down to those moments where guys are hitting the crossbar, and you're thanking the ball for hitting the crossbar because they got past every defender, and the goalie wasn't where he was supposed to be.
Well, even the final in the Netherlands, they won, but at 0-0, there was a 1v1 with the winger and the goalkeeper. And if that goes in, all the history's different. But back to the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is the superstar right now. He's lost 2 Super Bowls, and what happened in both of them? Defenses were all over him. Tom Brady lost 2 Super Bowls to the Giants. What happened? Defensive lines up in his face.
And the last Super Bowl that Brady won, they owe it to that defense. He threw 3 interceptions, and that defense helped bail him out.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 Super Bowls that Brady has rings for, one with the Patriots and one with the Bucks, where he can thank the defense because that 10-9 one that they had against the Rams.
Same with Eli. We got like 17 points in one of those wins, right? The one that stuck the tires on us.
Well, and you look at Atlanta being up by so much against New England, and their defense couldn't play in the second half. So, you know, it's just defense is always rearing its head, and that's why I'm really excited to see as you go through these matches, as you go through the spring, and then you go back and you look at all the film and you prepare for the fall. I'm excited that you didn't tell me something. You didn't say to me, hey, I've been here for a few weeks. We played one match. This is my defense. It's always going to be my defense.
Yeah.
Square peg, round hole. You're saying to me my defense will be developed off of the talent that I have and what they show me on film and how we come together and what we do. So you're building your defensive plan as you're growing and you're learning about your team, as opposed to walking in there and saying this is what you're doing, like it or not.
Exactly.
And I like that.
Yeah.
It shows that you're a coach that is you're developing with your team, as opposed to saying I'm God and here's what the peasants need to do.
Yeah.
There's something
That
to
doesn't
that.
seem like a great approach.
No, but a lot of coaches do it.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches do it. So with that being said, Stewart Flaherty, myself, Dan Tortora, go and make sure you support Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse all throughout the year. And of course, you support this men's soccer team from Mother's Cover. We call this From Mother's Cover to Table. We look forward to seeing you here. As we broke bread, we tell you, I will never, ever underestimate, thanks to my amazing family, how important it is to share a meal with somebody and to talk face to face. So we're happy we got to do that with you. I'm happy I got to hang out with Stu. Get the Cuse MacMother 7 days a week right here. Thanks, Stu. We'll talk with you all soon. Go Bobcats.